5 miles to the on-ramp, a left and then a right, followed by another left and one more last right onto the freeway. A straight shot for 180 miles all the way to Yuma. Gas is the left from the on-ramp and then a right. Left out to the station and left onto the freeway. San Diego is 170 miles in a straight shot, minus the mountain. Alpine first, the rolling fields of grass and misty trees. Down the hillside along red tile rooftops and abandoned amusement parks. I pull ever so close to home, my old home, my childhood home. It would be a right, here, just one, instead of a left, and a few miles down the way, amidst a few quick turns, it would be there along the along the water, just as I remember. Just as I remember, darkness, shadows, and a cold night packing the van, the truck, and the old Thunderbird with as much as we could carry. Me with small boxes, photo albums, and toys piled in my thin, young arms. No jacket, no time, blankets in the car. We'd ride in the Thunderbird because the van could hold more. Say goodbye to the house, my mother said to me, trying to be happy. Even at 7 years old, I couldn't believe her. I see the exit, it comes. Just one right, and I'm there, and I pass right by it. I take the left that is actually just a straight, the choice that is in fact no choice at all. The freeway takes me straight on, another 30 miles, and I'm back in downtown where I belong. I make this same trip every month for 12 years since I became a senior financial advisor for the company, the one nestled warmly in Arizona, and the same company that has a sister branch in cold San Diego. I make the trips, I see the turn, and it never comes. Every month, the same choice, the same opportunity, but the house is forgotten, a remnant of the past, a childhood I barely remember, yet can't seem to forget. It's 3 miles to the hotel from the office, 2 lefts, 1 right, and the next morning it's 400 miles home. Or only 30. The thought arises in my mind, just a spark, in the back somewhere between thoughts of dinner and next week's rent. Another month, another trip, another 5 miles to the on-ramp, more lefts, more rights, and more miles until San Diego stretches on the horizon, over the misty mountains of Alpine, Lake Jennings, and Los Coches. One more day at the office, and one more night in the same hotel, never the same room. 400 miles home, and then without knowing it, it becomes just 30. I'm driving over the hill, Interstate 8 like always, the cracked gray freeway stretching on till it meets the 10 and dies. Only I don't make it that far, like I normally do. I make it only to the exit, the right where I always stay left. Coming back, the exit's still on the right, and so without thinking, without staying left, I flip my signal and drift off the freeway. The car comes to a halt almost by itself. I stare at the stop sign for a long while. It's red, of course, but chipped, and bits of silver and rust show underneath. There are scratches along the O like hash marks or a pound sign. I wonder who lingers long enough at a stop sign to ever really notice the details. No two signs would truly be alike. A truck pulls up behind me, and I feel my car start to move again. My hands move along the wheel in the motion of a left, and I'm headed down a road that I haven't seen in years. A road I traveled every day as a child until my 7th birthday, when I saw the road last until now. The road is quiet, trees on either side, with run-down homes and sheds built from sheet metal, brown with rust. Blue tarps cover trailers and boats, and pine cones litter the sidewalks. I keep moving down the road, and then I turn right, without even realizing it. Chambers Drive is the name of the road. I recall that name is familiar. 1 left and then a right, the first at a white picket fence that I only remember in my dreams, and the second at an oak tree that must have lost a few feet over the years. Then I'm here, home in a manner, driving along a row of houses, each built in the 60s. Mostly all the same one design, and all built along the shore of a small lake, if you could even call it that, which is tucked in between hills that are too small to truly be mountains. I see the house, the home, sitting there. Remember the numbers, 1405, all too well. The house is the same, just darker, lonelier, complete with overgrown hedge bushes and pine trees that haven't been trimmed in years. It's not the only house on the street to be abandoned, but it is the oldest one to be so. The paint is chipped and the windows in the front are boarded up. I pull my car into the driveway. There are cars in the neighbor's driveway to my left, but nothing to the right. I get out and walk towards the center of the house. There is a wrought iron gate in front of the door, decorative yet functional. I place my hands on the bars, twisted slightly into a pattern, and my hand comes away with speckles of aged white paint. There is a notice regarding trespassing plastered to the door through the bars. I try the handle, yet it is locked tightly. The bank had not been kind those years ago, and my parents had a very hard time finding money for food, let alone for the mortgage. When the bank sent the letter, I remember sitting at the table for my birthday. I remember bits of what my parents had said. Words like final notice and foreclosure have a way of lingering in the mind. Looking at the house, it must have never resold if the bank ever tried. Thinking back to that night, I recall my bedroom, complete with sliding glass door that led around the side of the house. I walk around the house, by the planks of plywood and graffiti to the gate. It's not locked. There is no way to lock it. I start to reach around the top of the gate when I notice my suit is touching the rough, splintered wood. I pull back quickly and brush my hand along the fabric of the coat. There was nothing on it, no bits of wood or varnish, just a little dust that came right off. The suit would need to be dry cleaned regardless. At the cost of it, there was no reason to take the chance of a bit of wood putting a hole through the fabric. Carefully, with one hand holding my jacket tight against my stomach, I reach over the fence a second time and try the latch. The gate creaks slightly. I use the bottom of my shoe and give the gate a calm yet firm push. It swings open a couple feet and catches on the rocks that make up the side of the house. Still holding my coat flat, I wedge myself through the gate. Turning to my left, I see what used to be the sliding glass door that led to my bedroom. Shattered long ago, small bits of square-cut safety glass speckle the carpet, which is black from dirt and mold. I enter the house through my bedroom, watching to keep my head from hitting a remnant of the door. The house is surprisingly well lit, streams of sunlight peeking through the windows where they can, beer bottles scattered through the room amidst long-forgotten toys that I don't even recognize. Graffiti lines the walls as I walk from the bedroom, taking a left through the hall, and then a right turned into the living room. I pass by my parents' old bedroom on the way, yet something keeps me from entering, a feeling that I lack the permission, or just a lingering sense of the forbidden. It remains one of the darkest rooms, yet I can make out that their old bed, mattress sagging, half on the floor, in the shadows. In the living room, I carefully walk over a pile of trash and bottles, and I almost allow myself to brush against the old metal trash can, completely empty. The sliding glass door that leads to the backyard is missing most of its curtains, revealing the lake in all its sad glory outside. The glass of the door is caked in brown dirt, but parts of it are quite clear. Outside, there is a man walking through the backyard by the shore. I pull back from the window quickly, and then slowly allow myself to creep back to the glass. The man is pulling at something by a pile of rocks. He moves a tarp as if he's carrying a solid sheet of toxic waste, and he uncovers an old rowboat. I watch the man work with the boat for a few minutes. I would have never thought it was even there. I would have never thought any of this was still here, yet it is. The house I could truly recall in my dreams is still here, sitting, waiting, dying for all these years, even as I passed by each month on the freeway, with each left instead of a right. I take a step back, letting the man with the boat roll over in my mind. The word restoration comes to mind, then resurrection. I move towards the kitchen, to where the table was that I sat when my parents got the letter. I hit the trash can on the way out of the living room and knock it over. It pushes me back, and my left leg goes into a pile of bottles where I regain my balance. The kitchen still has the table, but it's been pushed against the far wall and piled with more bottles. I stop and turn to my right, next to a counter where the phone used to be. Now there is only a large hole with bits of wire sticking out. I get down on my knees, my suit pressed against the blackened tile, my pants sticking to the surface as I shuffle through the papers that are scattered around the floor and on the counter. My hands move quickly, and with each deep breath I inhale, I'm exhaling a hard, sharp breath to blow at the dust. Finally, I hold a piece of paper in my hand, half tucked in a dirty, stained envelope, with a red stamp across the front. I sit back and take off my coat, tossing it across the room, aiming for an overturned chair. For a cold morning, the house is surprisingly warm. I pull out the letter and read from the same message that my parents read over 30 years ago. I focus on the amount due, the amount they owed on the house, the interest, and it all seems so trivial. Not because of the job I have now, but because of the time difference. I stare long and hard at the name on the bank, the address, and the phone number. I stare long and hard until my eyes water from the dust and the darkness of the kitchen. I stand up, grab my coat off the floor, and walk back out of the house through my old bedroom. Without even needing to stop to think, to consider, I have decided. The word restoration, then resurrection. I will call the bank, and if they are gone, I will track them down, and I will have a home again. Thank you.